Thanks for showing up for Candlelight Yoga. I stopped counting, so I don't know how many of these we've had together, but there have been a lot of opportunities for us to get together and just chill and breathe, to relax and let go. So just let those thoughts guide your practice tonight. Relax and let go. And hopefully you had a chance to light a candle. If not, you can gaze deeply into the one I've lit for us. I hope your long weekend is going well. Or have we been trapped in a long weekend? I'm not sure. So taking a comfortable seat, cross-legged. It's called Sukhasana, easy seated pose. No need to tangle yourself up into a knot. Just comfortably cross-legged, sitting up as tall as we can in this cross-legged position. Arranging your shoulders so that they're not falling off of the front of our body. They're positioned on the sides of our body where they should be. And once you position your shoulders, your shoulder blades, the little wings on the back, start to slide down the back, and that's kind of a good feeling. I hope you're enjoying that. And take a deep breath, just like I did. Fill up your inhalation to the top, sip it to the top, and exhale as fully as you can, all the way out. And start to tune into those feelings, inhaling fully and exhaling completely. Noticing what hard edges you can start to soften here. And we'll continue just getting the kinks out through the rest of our practice. So now that we've come together, we've collected ourselves into our space, we've arranged these thoughtfully. Let's take 3 more long, deep breaths. Just feeling how the breath is expanding into more space in our body. We're starting to get a 360-degree breath filling experience, I hope. And that's our first place to check in tonight, with how we're sitting in our easy seated pose and how our breath might be moving through our body tonight. Maybe it feels a little short and stuck, and we're going to work to make those breaths longer and deeper for sure. So movement is something that can help the body settle into place or settle into position a little better. So notice I've started a little movement side to side. And as I lean side to side, my seat is still anchored to the ground. And we start to stretch through the sides of our body. Now let's start to circle slowly. And we still drop into that side stretch at one point, but then maybe drop back a little as we swirl through our circle. Allow that trunk circling action to be as big or small as you need it to be. What's your range of motion tonight? We're going to explore that. And now let's start to circle the other way. Enjoying the stretches that are happening throughout our body as we create this slow circling action. Now let's come back to center, collect our bodies, centering, breathing, changing position. Let's come on to hands and knees pose, tabletop. I'm going to keep it as simple as possible tonight, but simple can be so great with yoga. It doesn't have to be complicated. Let's draw some simple curves. Exhaling, we create our cat pose. And inhaling, we curve the other direction into cow pose. And we move with our breath. Again, exhaling cat, inhaling cow. And when we start to sync our breath to the movement of the spine, each link of the spine, each vertebra, getting a little activity. When all of that starts to happen, we create Chakravakasana. It's a beautiful spinal stimulating from base to crown. It's a journey. So let's really start to feel from our hips, our base, through the tops of the hips, the crests, through the low back, mid back, upper back, shoulders, neck, and head. Make sure you're tapping into all of that space as you're moving and breathing. Cat-cow, when smoothly moving with your breath, again becomes Chakravakasana, an awakening of your inside. And move back onto your seat to butterfly legs. And butterfly legs, 2 angles, externally rotated legs. Footprints come together. And let's sit up tall, right? Broadening shoulders so they're not going to round or fall from the front of us. Broad shoulders, distribute their weight from the sides of your body. Sit up tall first, and then maybe you start to fold forward. That's a maybe. Take that lean forward smoothly, slowly. Listen to your body. There's no need to pull or try and force or strain yourself into the pose. It's just tall, well positioned, a little bit of forward flexion. And you're in charge of how much forward flexion that you actually put into this pose. Do what feels good, what keeps the spine lengthening and keeps the breath circulating. Notice if you're holding any tension in your neck. Soften your jaw. You might be gritting your teeth or gripping in the shoulders. Let's soothe that space. And the breath might even move a little sweeter as well. All right, now come back to your easy seated pose, Sukhasana. And we're going to come back to cat and cow poses, but we're going to do them while we're sitting down here. So cat, we're going to kind of, I don't really love the term slouch, so I'm going to say we're going to curl back, coil chin in, let the space between your shoulder blades, it is rounding and opening. And then sit up tall and add that heart lift upward into cow. You don't have to lean back as far as I did. Right? Just come into that cat-like curve and elevate into the cow-like spine. Sitting cat-cow flow. Let's do that a couple more times. Just moving through any staleness that you might be feeling in the shoulders, across the chest, through the rib cage space, thoracically. Back to regular cat-cow pose. Let's come onto all fours again. Draw those curves, feel them moving. We've had a body change, position change. Now we're keeping both hands on the ground. Lift your right leg up, please, and bend your right leg. We're doing a tiger pose variation, but we're keeping both hands on the ground and in the moment. Now bring your right knee towards your rib cage. Draw a cat-like action in the body as you bring your right knee forward, and then inhale back to the start position. A little tiger flow. And we'll place our right knee back on the ground. Left leg lift, balance through your body and bend your left leg. We bring our left knee into the ribs and draw a cat-like spine on the exhale. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Right, returning to our start position. Exhaling and coiling in. Let's do that one more time. And we'll put our left knee back on the ground. Good work. Now give your little tiger tail a wag to the right, to the left. Feel those stretches through the sides of your hips, sides of your ribs. Well done. All right, I'm gonna lean back, just move back a little bit to give myself some space, because when I drop my heart towards the floor in the moment, arms are going to extend forward. We're taking puppy pose. So tail stays lifted. It's not low at all. Child's pose would be low. Puppy tail stays high. And your chest sinks low. Extended arms. Keep on breathing in your puppy pose. It is a deep stretch, opening your shoulders, opening your chest, lengthening your arms. Keep on breathing. Breathing into 360 degrees of your belly, ribs, and chest. And let's take one more long, deep breath in your puppy pose. And then peel yourself up slowly, coming back to all fours again, to tabletop. Now right leg moves forward. We already unpacked our external rotation. So right leg lays at the front of the mat, externally rotated. We start to slide the left leg back. Hips are equal, neutral. Your pelvic floor is sinking down towards the ground, but it doesn't have to touch. And that sinking action really starts to drive the stretch pretty deeply through your hips and glutes. through your low back. And maybe you want to drop down a little deeper into the pigeon pose that we're practicing. Listen to your body. Maybe it said, hey, stay back on handprints. Where do you feel most well-balanced? Where is it in the pose, inside the stretch, that you feel that you can breathe the best? One more long, deep breath. Let's handprints to ground, and we'll peel ourselves up and take another extended puppy pose. Important point about your puppy pose. Yes, your tail is lifted, you're resting on your chest and heart, but you're also starting to learn another key action of yoga, chin stand. So there is a little bit of positioning, balancing on your chin comfortably. Make sure it's comfortable. And if puppy pose does not suit you, a modification would be dialing it back to child's pose, balasana. You've always got options with yoga. Something to help you through your practice. All right, one more long deep breath. And then peel yourself up again from puppy pose. And left leg moves to the front of your mat. Externally rotated left leg is rested comfortably up at the front of your mat. And you're starting to glide smoothly, right leg back behind you, drawing your pelvic floor towards the ground. Notice how in that moment, maybe you didn't, but I noticed that I was starting to lean. So lean too far to my left. So I start to rotate to bring my hips into neutral. Now back on course, lengthening and perhaps sinking down a little deeper into your pose. One more long deep breath with your pigeon pose. And then handprints on the ground. If you should have lowered down to your elbows, we'll meet here. And then shift back again to extended puppy pose or child's pose, balasana. Your choice. Another heavy point inside puppy pose. While you're here, I talked about the chest, your heart space feeling heavy on the ground, your chin taking that standing action, but your arms are grounded, right? Your arms are extended along the ground and your elbows as your arms extend forward, as your chest rests, as your chin rests, your elbows rest evenly heavy. Just another point of release. And I hope that you're able to experience that glorious release that happens when you really empty out completely your exhaling breaths during the practice, during everyday life. The breath work doesn't just serve us while we're here on the yoga mat. It serves us even more when we step up and off of the yoga mat into the rest of our life. So now please peel yourself up from your puppy pose and let's move back to Baddha Konasana, sitting butterflies. Footprints mirroring one another, and that gentle press of your feet together generates the stretch across your inner groins and thighs. There is this logic to how we lengthen the spine here, right? Low back, mid back, upper back. Let's align those zones of the spine vertically. Find our vertical line. And then keeping that line in mind as we begin to fold forward. And our body really does function very best, bending best, when we bend from our hip hinge forward. That's how we're meant to do it, folks. Check in with your spinal line again. Align the zones, low back, mid back, upper back. And consider your head part of the spine all the time. And you'll carry it better. Your posture will be better. As you're practicing Baddha Konasana, tune in, check in with your body around the mid back to upper back space. Does it feel really tight? If it does, then back off a little. Give that space, room to re-coordinate its effort to fold forward. Right? Let's have a collaboration, that logic in lengthening the spine. There's a collaboration in those zones. And that just leads to a happier back. One more long, deep breath. And extend your right leg forward. Straighten right leg. Left leg is still in the butterfly wing in the moment. But now I'm going to change from external rotation. I'm shifting footprint off the mat, off to the side, even behind me, into internal rotation of the left leg. And internal rotated left leg is heavy. It's surrendering its weight into the ground. Maybe you resituate your body to meet the seat comfortably. Let's get some happiness in the zones of the spine, right? The logic and lengthening. Let's go there first. And then we're going to use hip hinge again. If you want to fold forward, it comes from hip hinge. So you could think of this like the hurdler's stretch, right? Now, friends, as smoothly as you can, smoothly, Left leg extends and right leg moves into internal rotation, into our hurdler stretch. Make the maneuvers that you need to rest your seat comfortably. Align the spine logically. Define your hip hinge if you're deciding to fold forward. One more deep breath, and then we'll sit up, sitting upright again. Right leg extends forward. Both legs are extending forward. Readjust or reboot your seat. This is a pose. It's Dandasana, the staff pose. So we're sitting up with really good posture. Straight legs, hip hinge defined, upper body sitting upright. The zones of the spine aligned logically. Dandasana. And bring your head to the top of your spinal line. And now that we've really defined legs on ground, upper body from the base of the spine to the crown is sitting upright. And there's nothing really to support you in the moment except your body. Your beautiful body is doing all the work to sit up. And we should do work like this more often in our bodies so that we can sit upright without wobbling or without starting to crumble after a while. Keeping the form. Let's keep the form for 3 more deep breaths. Well done. Now, right leg back to angle, left leg smoothly sweeps behind us, pigeon pose. Set yourself along the mat, across the mat, well, with balance, with your hips neutral, with that sense of length and logic through your spinal body. And when you're well balanced, that's when you breathe a little deeper, and maybe you sink a little deeper into the pose. You might even feel a little invitation to drop in even deeper. And when you drop in deeper to your pigeon pose, it's kind of like the puppy actions, arms extending, heart and, well, forehead resting. Keeping a sense of balance throughout your body, whether you're in pigeon or swan variation, fully laid out on the ground. But it feels good. It feels like a good variation to choose for your body. Now peel yourself up slowly. We're back on handprints to maneuver ourselves back to our puppy or child's pose variations. You choose. Noticing that you have a better ability to take those deep breaths, fulfill the action of inhalation, and it fills up 360 degrees of your belly, ribs, and chest. It's a good feeling to really use all that space that's meant to be used when you're doing your breath work. All right, one more long deep breath in your puppy. Peel yourself up, please. And left leg to the front of the mat. Pigeon pose. Checking in that hips feel neutral. And from that hip equilibrium, deciding whether you drop to elbows or you lay out into swan pose. Make good choices, yogis. One more deep breath. And then we'll have a seat. Both legs forward, extending forward. Sitting up tall, Dandasana, sitting 90-degree hip angle. Really good posture. Using our own belly, ribs, chest, obliques, side body, and all of your back body to hold you upright. To fill in all of the space that surrounds the spine. Again, 360 degrees of you inflates with your inhalations. Let your head float up very high to the top of the spine, in line. One more deep breath in Dandasana, the staff pose. And then let's take our left leg hurdler stretch. So left leg creating internal rotation comfortably. Right leg extending forward, aligning your spine. And that begins from your pelvic floor, your bottom floor, rooting downward. And then you decide how far you might lean in. That's where the stretch starts to intensify. Listen to your body. Let's sit upright and change sides. Left leg forward, right leg internally rotating, resetting your pose comfortably, aligning the spine, right? Logical alignment of low, mid, and upper back spaces. And keep those zones playing together. And then deciding how far you're going to fold forward, if at all. So I'm just pointing out an important piece that we're going to take moving forward with us. This internal rotation action that we've been engaging in our hurdler stretch, right? Bent leg, internally rotated, and that heaviness that you feel along your inner thigh, we're going to take those key actions with us into our next pose. And when we frog, I usually do it sideways along the mat. I'm not going to bother tonight, but you might find it more comfortable to do it that way because you have the mat underneath you. It's way more comfy to have cushion than carpet. But I'm going to sacrifice myself for you tonight because I want you to see it better. You're going to see it better this way. So wide, and you can clearly see I'm going out to the sides of the mat. I'm crossing the sidelines of the mat as my knees and bent legs start to glide and slide apart. And I'm still using, we've been doing this all night, handprints to balance. Now again, thighs slid apart, bent legs, heavy. So we've got two internally rotated legs, aligning as evenly as possible. And then our inner thigh space, the inner knees, the inner calves, heavy. Dropping down to elbows. That, again, the lower you drop, the more intense your frog pose is going to feel. Mandukasana. And then there's another stage of lowering, and we've played with this tonight, that resting of your heart and chin. So where are you tonight in frog pose? Where can you be comfortably? We're still in the frog pose, but let me just point out another, similarity. Earlier I called it the hurdler stretch that we were doing. Now we're doing frog pose. It's also the goalie stretch, right? The hockey goalie for the game doing this pose. I love how fitness and yoga and Pilates and martial arts and dance and all of these gorgeous forms of movement have so much in common. So that said, let's peel ourselves up out of our goalie stretch. Right now, my right leg is on the bottom. My left leg's gonna take the top. I'm knotting my legs, knot pose. And once I start to knot the legs or stack the knees, your base might be a little offset, so sink your sit bones, sink your buns down evenly into the ground and do your best to rest on the outer foot edges evenly. Logically align your spine, please. Right, that helps us to center, find our breath again. Again, our legs in knot pose. Maybe we start to lean forward. The leaning in intensifies the stretch throughout your hips and glutes. Honor your body. You can lean in or you can dial it back. Where does it feel good and effective for your body? All right, let's unknot, right? Untie the knot, unravel the knot, and change legs. So now my left leg is going to the bottom, right leg moving to the top. We retie the knot again, sinking your seat evenly down into the ground as you sit up, right? Logically aligning the spine. Keep on working with that cue, even when we're not practicing together, okay? Remember, if you choose to lean forward, the pose is gonna light up a little bit. Honor your body. One more deep breath, and then we'll sit upright again and unravel the knot in our legs. And from here, we can go ahead and lie back. Please, feet together, knees apart. So our butterfly reclines. We've already done a variation of this pose sitting, but it feels really good to practice Baddha Konasana when you're lying down. Over the next few breaths, let your body unfurl. Arms, your back body, your thighs, your hips, everything is unfurling across the ground, broadening, expanding. And relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, relax your fingers and hands. And feel another few deep breaths move through you, clearly, smoothly, fully. Now take your legs, bring them back together, and your right leg crosses over the left. Right thigh crosses over the left thigh. And legs naturally Roll to the left. Cross leg twisting pose. Keeping your right shoulder, right arm relaxed on the ground. Engaging 360-degree breathing. Now slowly move back to center, and we're going to change the twist. So now your left leg crosses over the right, left thigh crosses the right, and legs roll right. And relax your arms and shoulders. And now roll back to center and lay yourself out on the ground. Your final relaxation pose, Shavasana. You're lying on your back, and there's no need to stay tight or close. Allow your body to, again, expand, to broaden across your ground, to relax completely. May you breathe deeply. This is the best part of the yoga practice. When you really slow down, you find that pause to really check in with your body, to notice what spaces crave rest, what places crave awakening. Nourish your body not only with the food choices you make, my friends, nourish your body with oxygen, with your breathing. Fulfill each cycle of the breath more completely, more often. Cheers to many more moments of oxygenation. Please start to twinkle your fingers and toes. Make your way back to the surface again, to seated. Thank you for showing up tonight, and have a great Memorial Day tomorrow. There's lots of classes on the menu for you from Mobius tomorrow, so come join us. Have a good one.